Level 2 of My Little Underground is underway. I'm Peter A. We got a special guest in the building. It's Conor Rooney, the drummer of Long Island group Headless Elvis. But we'll talk to him in a second. But I must shout out some great music that's been coming out in 2018 so far. A lot of great stuff. This year is shaping out to be awesome because the Royal They, Brooklyn's own, dropped a new album, Foreign Being. Fantastic album. Lots of energy, lots of charisma, beautiful melodies, and lots of really cool slow burners on there too. So check that out. And of course, the garage rock behemoth Ty Segall dropped the new album, Freedom's Goblin. It's very, very long, but it's very, very beautiful. Lots of horns, just a gorgeous album. Please check that out. And my homies from Atlanta, Starbenders, they dropped a new EP, Julian. Lots of gorgeous songs on there. They have a really interesting glam punk sound that is worth checking out, and it's worth to see them live too. Awesome stuff, and they're like the best people. Shopping, all the way from the UK, they dropped a new album called The Official Body. It's a very challenging and interesting listen. It's a must listen. They have a lot of interesting garage and post-punk sounds that I think you guys would love. And another challenging listen, Holy, all the way from Sweden. They dropped a new album called All These Worlds Are Yours, and it just kind of brings you into this weird sonic universe. It's a really interesting take on psychedelic music. That's worth checking out. Yet another challenging listen, I have to shout out Tune Yards. And this is my first time listening to them. I know they've been around a lot, but their new album, I Can Feel You Creep Into My Private Life, is it's worth it. It's worth adding to your queue on Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music, or whatever you got. Lots of interesting world music sounds in there. A must listen. Hockey Dad, all the way from Australia. I've been singing their praises for years now. Their new album, Blend In, I listened to it on the train the other day. It was raining, and it just kind of fit. Well, to a degree, there was a lot of juxtaposition because Hockey Dad sounds are so beach-like, a lot of surf in there, but this is like a good, mature version of the surf rock sound. Love to hear them grow. Blend In, that's their new album. Check it out. And Palm, all the way from Philly, they dropped a new album, Rock Island. This album, man, I thank them for making such a challenging rock sound. You want a unique approach to rock music, and it's a little challenging. You may have to listen to it a couple of times to really get into it. The new album, Rock Island. Palm, check them out. And, oh man, last on my list, No Joy, all the way from Montreal, just dropped a new single, Obsession. It's a collab with Sonic Boom, and you can hear that March 30th, their new EP. This album is a progression of the No Joy sound, and when I was speaking to Jasmine a little while ago on my college radio show, Alternative Avenue out at SUNY Old Westbury, I don't do it anymore because, I have to move on to bigger and better things, but when I talked to her, she was saying that her new stuff is going to be a lot more electronic based, a little less guitar driven, and I'm loving this new direction, Obsession. Check that single out. It's gorgeous. And also, guys, I have some great new write-ups on my website, peteraradio.us. I got 10 more artists to watch out for in 2018. Read up on them. And a new playlist on Tidal, Volume 5 of my Watch Out series. And the only way to get that is through the link on my site, peteraradio.us. Now, I'm going to stop rambling, and I'm going to bring in my guest today, 1/3 of the Long Island outfit, Headless Elvis. And shout out to Peter and Matt, who couldn't make it today, but we'll definitely big them up today. So, Connor, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, thanks for asking me to be on this. So,
yeah,
doing all right. It was, I hadn't been to this area in a long time, so it was
LIC, the beautiful Continental Studios, man. I forgot to shout you guys out. Great space here.
It's interesting driving around here. It's very industrial and a lot of old industry buildings, and I like it a lot. Silver Cup Studios is really close, and you can see the big sign from walking Queens Plaza South.
Yeah.
Street. So I was like, oh, I know where I am. I've seen.
I lucked out finding parking over there too. So.
Yeah, honestly, that's really impressive that you found parking.
Oh yeah, I have to pat myself on the back again.
Yeah.
And your new single's called Bade. It's available now on Bandcamp and all streaming services. And you're playing the Velvet Lounge March 10th, Pet Rescue March 24th, and you're the head booker for Secretly Public, formerly Smiley Mace, and you're a contributor to the Stony Brook Press, which we'll talk about. Dude, you are just you got a lot of endeavors going on. I don't know how you manage your time, like for real.
I don't know how I manage my time either. I mean, Secretly Public is only something that I've been starting for the past few days because I realized that Smiley Mace was something that had to, in kind of the form that it was in, had to go because it was kind of a tired name. It was just kind of an ad hoc name that I came up with years ago. Just, I need a name to book shows. Let me do this. I kind of had the opportunity now to come up with something different, so I did. I relaunched the page. But I wake up really early.
Yeah.
Really early. I go to bed kind of late. And a lot of it is crunching. I'm not very efficient with my time. I can be, but most of it's crunching. Like if I have a paper due, I'll do it a few days before. But I'll also crunch in some things. I'll multitask. I'm bad at it, but I'll do it for a long time where you're throwing enough shit against the wall and it sticks. It's interesting to say shit because we're here and I'm used to with radio. Yes. I can't say that. So, but yeah, so it's fun. It's fun. So
yeah. I want to talk about some of the great shows that you've put together in a second, but I want to talk to you guys as a group, Headless Elvis, Long Island group, and you know we've spoken to a lot of local Long Island groups, and there's not too many spaces for Long Island groups to play, and a lot of groups from the island don't feel comfortable playing on Long Island because they feel like there's no place to play and what have you. And you've played some gigs on Long Island as Headless Elvis. Do you feel like there's a place for you to showcase yourself on the island?
Like a place that fits for what we do.
Just a place to play.
Just a place to play.
Yeah.
I mean, Velvet Lounge is pretty good for that. But past that, there's really just bars.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Revolution. I've never been there. In fact, we were supposed to play a show there a few months ago, but it ended up getting moved because there was a scheduling conflict. But I feel like there's places to play, but they're not like the places here in the city. Places here in the city are, you might have a DIY show that is really just a DIY venue. On Long Island, you don't really have those because you just have bars that kind of act as a DIY, not even a DIY venue, just they're places to play because they're bars and they want people to come in. And it works kind of the same way here. There's the Gutter, which is a bar. There's plenty of bars in the city that you might think are DIY venues just because so many bands from the local scenes and communities play there. But I think there's definitely a place on Long Island or places on Long Island to play if you look for it. But you can't expect something like Glasslands on Long Island because it's just a different vibe. People on Long Island expect different things, which is weird, but there's definitely a place. Velvet Lounge is good.
You almost have to know people who put on shows to find out who's doing the DIY thing on Long Island, especially like in New York City. Like there are certain publications like Brooklyn Vegan, Give Me Tinnitus, that an ad hoc they write about bands that play at certain spaces in Brooklyn specifically. Yeah, which is crazy. And I love to see that, especially people who love music and love live music and bands that want to get on or want to try to get on, or not even just to get on, just to showcase what they have. You know, I think it's great.
It's really interesting because there's that infrastructure behind it. There's Give Me Tinnitus, there's Oh My Rockness, there's Brooklyn Vegan, there's blogs, and there's people that...
Post Trash, used to write for that.
Post Trash, yeah. So these are all websites and people that really push this community, and they try to publicize it as much as they can to the people who live in their communities, and that's kind of what's lacking on Long Island. And I was talking to a friend of mine a few months ago, and he used to do sound at Shea. He now lives back in Brooklyn. He was living at Stony Brook for a while. And I said, how come there's no real kind of counterculture thing on Long Island? How come it doesn't really exist to a degree that it does maybe in Brooklyn or Queens or Manhattan or wherever else? He said it's because if you live on Long Island and you want to do something cool, you just go to the city. You don't really need to, there's no need to do it. If you lived in Ohio, you would have to because you wouldn't have anywhere to go. but Long Island, you're 50 miles less from the city, so you could just go there and go to a show. I mean, that's kind of just how I got involved in doing shows. I lived close. I'm like, oh, let me go to a show. And
most people on Long Island have cars.
Yeah, and you have to have a car. So you go into the city, you drive in, and you see a show, and you come home. And maybe there needs to be more of a community on Long Island that supports itself. But Long Island doesn't. I shouldn't say Long Island supports itself in a lot of different ways. Like there's Planet of Sounds Promotions that supports stuff. Equilibrium Bookings, which is a thing at Velvet Lounge.
East Coast Collective
is a good one. And there's another big one that does like Amityville Music Hall a lot. But there's so many different.
Crossfade.
Crossfade?
Yeah.
They do Amityville.
Yeah, I've been to one. Frankenblazer played a Crossfade show. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like, but I don't know if it's unified in a way. Like I don't know if there's like cross pollination in terms of. It's not really encouraged because also the culture of people come out to see their friend's band and leave, or they'll come to see their friend's band at the time their friend plays and then leave, and they'll stick around. Oh, cool, see your show. Like, oh, and I'm gonna leave. So there's no like wider infrastructure of support, unless there is, and I'm just not seeing it. But that's kind of what I think about that. But
we literally saw it with our own eyes. At that one American Bonus show.
That was cool.
Oh my God, it was in a garage and what was it?
Center Reach.
Center Reach. Yes,
that was cool.
Beechcraft Bonanza, thick, all the way from Brooklyn.
Yeah, and they had a really good time.
You know, because it's one of those things where it's like we connected the dots, right? Mm-hmm. Like I had Beechcraft Bonanza on my show. Yeah, and then they were playing a show, and then I found out you helped put that show together. You were part of that process, and that's how I found out about it. Because I'm really into what's happening locally. It's just kind of like you connect the dots that way. Like it's who you, if you interact with the local band, that can show you a whole nother side of a music community or what have you, which is really cool.
I think it's really important to have context with bands and not just. There are certain shows on Long Island that I won't name who puts them together, but they're just like 20 bands on a bill. There's no context there. They don't know each other. They can, but they don't know each other previously. Most definitely not afterwards. They'll go on from like 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. And there's no community there because everyone just kind of wants to play the show, and there's no context. There's no bands talking to other bands about, hey, we should put a show together ourselves or something like that. I think that happens more here in Brooklyn or Queens and Brooklyn. I think that happens a lot more out here. But yeah, I listened to that Beechcraft Bonanza interview the day of that show. Like 2 hours before I had to go set up, I listened to that interview and I was like, oh, cool, I know more about them now. So when I'm talking to them, I don't look stupid and like, hey, where are you guys from? And it's just like, oh, I think they're from Central Islip or Babylon or one of those.
I think Huntington. I think Chris is from Huntington. Shout out to Chris Baltrus. He is amazing. Yo, let me tell you a story. At the Railroad Inn in Valley Stream, right? I went to see them play. And after their set, I was thinking about leaving because some of the other bands on the bill didn't really impress me that much. So I was going outside, and then his girlfriend Damo came out, started talking to me, and she can talk for forever.
Days,
yeah. And I think that's cool. And then Chris came out, and we were just all talking, just like people, and we were talking about, we got into some like political stuff, which was very interesting. And he tells me, he was like, yo, man, I barely know you, but I love you. That was the coolest thing I've ever.
That's such a
that. Yeah, I think. It was just so cool because I'm like, if you support people like organically, they'll support you back. I love that about the music community, especially on Long Island and in New York City. Yeah, if you support these local artists, especially the ones that are talented, like Beechcraft Bonanza is a talented group, and you show them love and you're like professional in an interview and whatever, and you really ask them interesting, thought-provoking questions or what have you, or at least what they would think a thought-provoking question is. I don't know. It's up to them. Yeah. But they'll give you that back. And I think that's up to like the passion of somebody who loves music, especially new and local stuff. Yeah, and I love that. And you have a great relationship with tons of bands, which is really cool too.
Yeah, there are so many bands where when I first started going to shows, I would just instinctively, because when I first started going to shows in Brooklyn, I didn't know what to do with myself physically. So I was like, so there's a breakdown and they're like, in between the 15 minutes, between one band and the other. What do? I can't drink. I was like 18. What do? I'll just go talk to the band, tell them how great their set was. And it wouldn't be like, I wouldn't be like just saying that. I really meant it. I thought their music was great. So I would start talking to them, and that's how I started knowing more bands. It's like, oh, well, I genuinely like you guys, and I think your music's great. And it's really that simple. It's all about like just supporting other musicians and other bands, and just saying there's nothing else to it. Like it's just supporting those people. Like the Boner was such a cool thing because more than 50 people could not fit in that garage, which makes a much better experience for a show, in my opinion. You have Thick playing to 50 people, and they're tearing it up.
And they're crowd surfing.
And they're crowd surfing.
I saw Alex like in the air. I'm like, this is a garage.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that before.
Like it's a garage. It's garage music in a garage, like properly, like where it is.
And we had a garage rock proper band.
It was in a garage.
Bonanza, it was like, perfect.
It was perfect. There was a makeshift bar. People were, kind of getting trashed, having a great time. People met each other that didn't know each other, and it was really cool. I think those are kind of the best shows. But I mean, that was kind of a microcosm of how communities are kind of built and supported. That one show, it's just like so many people met each other that night, and so many people had a good time.
I know. I think that's kind of how it was.
Yeah. So many people. I met people I didn't know. It was like I don't remember the other. We got a fourth band really quick because another band had pulled out. But I was talking to Thick. I was talking to Beechcraft Bonanza. I was talking to everyone, all these people, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like, at a certain point, I wasn't even doing the job of keeping the show going. I'm like, shit, I mean, are they playing? Because, I mean, it's been 30 minutes. I've been talking to this person. Is the show still happening? I should probably make sure that it is. And it just was a self-sustaining thing, and it's cool. I think that happens on Long Island. It's just harder to find.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
I've been telling people about that show, like, for a long time. People say XYZ about, Long Island and local music. I'm like, yo, one of the best shows I've ever seen was in a garage in Eastern Long Island. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was insane.
Crazy.
And it was just literally a suburban street.
Yeah.
Like literally just a suburban street in Center Reach by Island Thrift, by Stony Brook, in a garage.
Off of Route 347.
Yeah, just right there.
I got lost.
Yeah, I got lost too. It was like I couldn't find my way. But fucking we like threw that together. We threw that show together. We didn't have some of the equipment. We had to kind of make it happen. We didn't have some amps. It was dusty as hell in there.
Yeah.
I was sneezing but it was a cool April night. There was a fire going on.
Bonfire.
There was a drag show. We had a drag show.
Yeah.
So, and like, it was just such a cool thing. I wish we could do it again, but I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, it was just one of those things you had to be there for.
Yeah, you got to be there for.
We could talk about it forever.
So, I wish there was someone taking pictures.
I didn't take pictures on purpose because I just wanted to experience it. And I couldn't. Yeah. I whipped out my phone to try to do something.
And you're just nah, I don't want to do this.
It's too dark in here. I don't care. I'm putting my phone away and we'll just have a good time.
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about your single, Bade. And you told Gimme Tinnitus that you couldn't dance to the song. I don't think that's necessarily true.
Yeah.
There's some danceable moments in there.
It's kind of like a violent dance song in a way. Like, I don't want to say moshing, but you could mosh. No one's ever moshed to it, but you could. I mean, it's kind of I think Peter might have said that, but it was it's a fun song. It's got
you could do some light bopping to it.
You could do some light bop. It's a light bopping song. I think that's kind of the best way. When we put it on other like Bandcamp and everything, we'll just put light bopping as the
light bop as a subgenre.
Light bop. Yeah. I think I'm going to go home and do that now. Actually,
light bop.
Yeah, Peter will only know when he listens to this that I've done it.
What about the rest of the EP? Is it danceable? To a degree.
It's there's moments, but it's really kind of I wouldn't say it's so dancey, but there's definitely moments where people can dance to it. We haven't recorded it yet, but we're trying to get into the studio and just do 3 more songs. I mean, there's tracks where our opening track is kind of a hellscape in a way. It's really, really dark and it's really, really loud. And we played Bowery Electric a few weeks ago, and
nice spot.
It was a cool spot, and their sound was really good, and they had kind of an interesting light setup.
It did sound good. Yeah,
Yeah.
when I went, I didn't go to that show, but the first show I've seen at Bowery Electric was Starbenders from Atlanta.
Oh.
And they sounded incredible. It was easily one of their best performances.
Yeah.
And what was really cool about that performance, Kimmy Shelter, the front woman, she was like, "Yo, our friend Peter's here, and he's like one of our biggest supporters." I was like, they didn't have to do that.
Yeah, you're just
They didn't have to do that.
It's
I'm like,
cool.
That's so
like
cool.
that's kind of a cool like bit of support. They're just like, oh, like thanks Peter for coming. You're like, oh shit, now I'm a part of this thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's interactive. It's not like I hate it when bands just go up and play and then get off and leave.
I would, if I was in a band, like I'm very, slightly socially awkward. So I would think that the band is only there to see us perform. So let's just play. Let's give them what
Yeah.
they came. Like a Placeberry Strangers. Like when
Yeah.
they go on stage, they don't say, "Hey, we're a Placeberry Strangers."
No, they don't even say that at all. There's
Blam.
no banter. There's zero banter with
Zero
them.
banter.
There's zero, and that's actually something that I'm just realizing now. I've seen them a few times. They've never spoken to each other on maybe once, but you don't know what he says
It doesn't
because
matter.
it's filled with echo, and you just don't. But it doesn't matter. They're playing elsewhere in a few months. Are you going to that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to see because I do not care if they play songs I've never heard. In fact, that's great, but I want that sonic kind of annihilation, sonic overload, just visual and physical. And I saw them at you were a Villain. We saw them at Villain.
Dude.
That was a wild show.
Dude.
Like, and it's interesting. Like every show they bring like a synthesizer to the back of the room and start playing. I know what's happening now. So I go to the back already. I'm like, all right, guys, I know. So I'm going to the back, and everyone's like, where are you going? I'm like, wait. And so, but then they're on this balcony just like doing a borderline deep house DJ set. Room is filled with smoke. Your ears are still ringing. No one knows what's going on.
No one knows. That's the key.
Aviv show, no one knew what was going on.
Yo, my
Yeah.
favorite thing about that show was after the show.
You and
Peter-
Peter were just like
I
blown
couldn't even
away.
talk.
Yeah.
But Peter was like on the
He
floor.
was screaming.
He was like,
Yeah.
He didn't know what to do with himself.
He had no idea. I think that was both of your first times at seeing them, right?
No, I
Had
saw
you
them
seen
at
before?
the documentary for Death by Audio.
Yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
you had seen them there. But that was also a different kind of that was
was a unique
different. That was a
experience,
unique experience. That was an outdoor thing.
Yeah.
But seeing him in a closed space like Aviv is just a very different like
I've never felt what I felt when I saw them.
it was wild.
Yeah.
And also seeing them at Aviv was a really cool full circle moment just
Yeah.
because I had seen him at Death by Audio a few years ago, and then Aviv was like the place that I used to go to all the time.
Yeah.
And then to see them close that out too. I saw them close out Death by Audio, so then I saw them close out Aviv. I was like, it's an unfortunate trend here, but I think Show Me the Body actually closed it out. But like there's
Yeah.
such a wild band, this smoke screen everywhere, the lasers. They played this wild set where sometimes you don't even know what they're playing. I turned around after the show. I couldn't see anyone. There was no one there.
Yeah.
It was like 200 people had just disappeared.
And you know what's interesting about them? They don't do any banter on stage, but before their set, they'll be in the crowd talking to people. Like Oliver came up to me. He was like, "Hey man, what's going on?" It
Yeah.
wasn't like some small talk shit. He was like, "Dude, how are you? How's
Yeah.
it going? What's going on?" He's really interested.
He's just a happy person. He's such a
Yeah.
happy person. Yeah.
And Dion's the same way. Like you go
Yeah.
up to them and talk to them, and they'll talk to you. Like Dion is like he's a quiet person, but like
yeah.
if you talk to him, you're like, "Yo, dude, how are you doing? How are you? What's going on?"
Yeah. Like, hey, what's up? You know.
Yeah, he'll listen, like, "Yo, I went this, I saw this show. Like, what have you been up to?" "I've been doing the same thing. We're trying to
Yeah.
record and XYZ." And they're just the best people.
They're
And,
so open.
Yeah, and they have no ego.
No, yeah, they have a song called "Ego Death," and it's just this
It's a
like
beautiful song.
Well, it is. It's just
Yeah.
a beautiful song, but it's a. I heard that, and I mean, there's songs like "Ego Death." There's songs like "Deeper," which are just total. I've never heard anything. There's still band. I've never heard anything like them before. I still or seen anything like it, anything close to it. I've never seen a band just take their slot and destroy everyone's perceptions of what a show is.
Yeah.
Like they took that last show because before that it was like Thick played, they were great. Some other bands played, they were great. It's like, okay, band 1, band 2, band 3, band 4, Placeberry Strangers. They
Murdered.
get in your psyche. It's just like they just want to destroy your perception of the show. So where afterwards you're like back to earth, like
Oh yeah.
Holy shit.
Like Parlor Walls opened right before Thick.
Yeah.
And man, they put on a great set.
They're cool.
They're nice people
them.
too. I wanted to talk to them after their set. They're
Yeah.
awesome. I would love to chat with them someday.
I would, yeah.
So going back to Headless Elvis, Bade is a single, and so you don't know when this EP. You're just still working on it, right?
Well, we have all the songs. We just need to get into a studio
and
because
just kind of put it together. Yeah,
we just gotta record it and put it together. It's tough because we're not doing it live. We did Bade. We recorded it. I was supposed to do the drums first, but this weird scratch track that we had done the week prior was recorded in our practice space, which was literally the worst practice. I mean, it was an old storage unit. It was black mold everywhere, and it was a borderline metal room it was decrepit, and it was awful. So we made the scratch track in there, which sounded cool in the room, but on the audio of a phone were loud, so it sounded terrible. So that was supposed to be my reference track for recording the drums, but I couldn't do it because also in the scratch track I wasn't totally consistent with my timing, so I couldn't record a perfect drum track. So I said to Matt, maybe you can do a bass track and then I can play over your bass track. So we did that and it worked. I think I got it in a few tries. And then Peter did his guitar and we overlaid a whole bunch of stuff and we added some things. So but that took a whole session. That was actually that took like 2 weeks because the first time. So that took 2 weeks, 2 sessions. But we need to just get back in the studio and do it because we can do it. We just need a few sessions to get it done. But the studio that we do it at, which is Tabler, which is on campus, isn't open, and they're not opening until the end of this month.
And it's interesting. You guys as a Long Island group and a lot of local groups that I know, are taking their time with putting out stuff. And at least you guys put out a single. You have some. Yeah. You have a finished product.
Otherwise,
and you're playing
we wouldn't
shows.
Exist.
Yeah.
But technically, I mean, like. Yeah, I think it's interesting that we are kind of taking our time. In a few months, this band will be kind of 2 years old, which is the longest I've been in the band ever. The longest I've been in the band was maybe 6 or 7 months. So this is kind of long. It's long, but it's great because I think this is the longest that any of us have been in the band, I think. So it's cool. And but we're taking our time because we don't want to just put something out without making sure that it's like proper. We don't want to just put it out and be like, because I've known people that have put out demos, and that's okay. Like we've put out demos on SoundCloud, but we just kind of want to control what we put out there so that like we just want it to be right when we put it out. Bade Peter mixed it over like 2 weeks or a few days. I can't remember, but it was a lot of back and forth. Do you want the drums higher? Do you want this? Do you want this effect? So it's just we're doing it all ourselves too. I mean, Matt built his bass like from scratch. So like everything is kind of just being done on the fly and like ourselves. So we know exactly what's going to go on the EP. We have to figure out when to record it. But it won't be. I hope it'll be finished by the 24th show, maybe even the 10th. But it's by the summer it'll be out, and then we have to do a full length, which, given our history of putting things out, you should expect that in 2020, or 2024 or something like that.
After Oprah's second,
her re-election campaign,
yeah,
we're gonna be Headless Elvis is gonna be her election campaign not cover band, like her backing band.
Yeah.
We're gonna do that.
You'll be in the Oprah White House.
We'll be in imagine the state of affairs that the world has to be in for us to be as a respected White House band. Like, what would imagine we would publicly say, guys, raise your standards, please.
Yeah,
please. Just
come on.
Like, yeah. But I guess they're so low right now in terms of politics, where it's just like, a talking frog is like probably, it looks amazing. So
if I took a sock puppet and put a microphone in front of it,
I'd vote for it.
Yeah, and then I said the right things to the right people.
Yeah,
it can be a qualified politicians in a lot of people's eyes.
I think what's that Black Mirror episode where the cartoon becomes the president?
I haven't seen that.
The Waldo moment. I think it's where.
Yeah, that was such a good episode.
This I don't know. This bear becomes the president. I think no. He becomes like the prime minister.
Ballot. Waldo's on the ballot.
He was on the ballot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he was just a troll, and I don't know whether they made that before Trump announced that he was running, or maybe
I think it was
middle.
before. This is like season 2, season
before.
1.
Yeah, so it's like a few years ago. But like, I watched that right after, like, the election, and I was like, man, what the fuck is going on? Like, 'cause this is real. So it was wild.
What I took from that one, it's like you can't hold these figures that you look up to such an extremely high standard. You have to go to your elected officials.
Yeah.
They're the ones that can make the
That
change.
matters.
You know what I mean? That shit matters, you know? Like, people talking about Jon Stewart should run. No, Jon Stewart he's informed, but he's not an experienced politician.
But he's a talk show host.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
he's a comedian first, like he says himself.
Yeah. He wouldn't run.
No, he wouldn't.
He wouldn't himself. He himself wouldn't run. Like, he would tell people, "No, I'm not running because I'm not qualified."
Why do you think he's retired?
Yeah, I mean, I wish he would do the show, but he comes on every once in a while for Colbert. Colbert is great.
He is great.
I think Colbert bringing politics into late night is really. I think that's great.
I think he spends a little too much time on Trump.
Yeah,
I do love him, but it's just like, okay, like, I remember there was like 5 weeks from now, okay, guys, let's talk about Trump. He would literally, that would be a joke.
It was
that's not funny. Trump's not funny to me.
No. Yeah.
If he says something really foul, like the shithole countries thing,
Yeah.
okay, make some commentary about that.
Yeah.
But Trump is not funny.
No.
I don't see any humor in that.
I don't understand. So, and this is kind of jumping around now, but the Grammys had a thing where they had people reading from Fire and Fury. They had Cardi B reading from Fire and Fury. They had John Legend reading from Fire and Fury. And then they had Hillary Clinton reading from Fire and Fury.
But what did Cardi B say? Like, why am I even reading this?
She's like, why am I reading this? But everyone's like, oh, haha, it's so funny. And then James Corden's there. I don't think he's very funny at all.
None of this shit is funny.
I don't like.
It's sad. I don't find humor in any
It's like
of this.
it was supposed to be like this comedic relief for the Grammys, but I looked at it immediately. I was like, no, fuck this. It's his policies are not a joke.
No.
Like
And
what he's doing is not
keep making jokes.
Like they could keep making jokes. He's just gonna tell his base that, oh, look, they're illegitimate because they're just making jokes. Just whatever he says, he can say it because his base will believe him and people will believe him. So I don't think, like, okay, tiny rant kind of over, but like,
You're much better than Astronauto. Like, he doesn't say, "Yo, I'm done ranting." He'll go on.
He'll just go on.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I like when people talk and people are talkative, but like sometimes I have to wrap it up. You know, like, I love you, man, but shut the fuck up.
After a while, it's just like, but it was just like, I think the media didn't help in getting Trump. They did help in getting Trump elected, and they're not helping get him out. They're giving him free publicity, and he's all that's in the media.
To me, call out the bullshit, but stop the bullshit at the same time.
Like,
stop
keep
joking.
Trump divorced from everything, and just don't focus on the fact that he's awful, but he is. Focus on the realities of what he's doing.
2018 midterm elections.
A few months, right?
Let me tell you.
Next month?
That's important. No, November.
Is it November?
Yeah.
I thought it was, okay, so November, yeah.
I think so. I gotta look at
it up too, yeah. But
So I want to talk about a lot of your experiences booking shows, and I've been to a couple of them. And I want to talk about this new Brooklyn venue that you were supposed to do book the show there. Like, what happened with that?
Yeah, so we had this date, which was February 17th. It was at this new venue in Williamsburg called the Wonders of Nature Gallery.
Yeah.
And there was a scheduling conflict with the venue that we found out about last week. I had the date confirmed, but he said, "Listen, I've just messed up the dates here. Can we schedule it again? Can we reschedule maybe a day before, a day after, a few days after?" At that point, that's 2 weeks out from the show. I didn't want to tell the bands. It was already a little sketchy because not sketchy, but it was already a little kind of disorganized in that I didn't have a backline.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what the backline was. I still had to figure out how to broadcast it because we were going to broadcast it on the air. I had all these things, and some of the bands were maybe a little bit unresponsive, and they weren't unresponsive, but it just took a few days for them to answer, which is totally fine because they're bands and they have other things to do, and it just takes a while to get back to people sometimes, and I understand that, but it was a little too disorganized for what it was, and I didn't want to risk a bad show. So I canceled it because I said, you know what, I can probably find a venue somewhere else. And I looked. I couldn't find anything. But I said, I can try to find a venue somewhere, maybe someone's basement in Brooklyn, whatever it is. and have the show, but it could be a terrible show, or I can cancel it and just not risk it being a bad show. So I canceled it because I didn't want people to have a bad show.
So are you going to put something else together to
Yeah.
broadcast on USB?
So April 7th, I think, is the next one.
That's almost the anniversary of the American Bonus Show.
Actually, I
last year.
think it's like maybe a day before or after it. Like it's
Yeah.
really, really close. So it might even be the day. I don't know. But that's going to be in Brooklyn. And I don't know whether that's going to be through my own thing or WUSB. Because there's like legal issues with liabilities. And if WUSB is sponsoring a show, then if something goes wrong, that could potentially be on the school's head or WSB's head, and then we're just in hot water there. So, but I mentioned it to because initially I had asked this band Bodega to play on the 17th, and they couldn't do it. But I've been talking to Nikki, who's in that band, and she said, "Why don't we do something anyway?" So April, she said, "I'm just gonna ask around, see what's going on," and I have to follow up with her because
what space are you looking for?
I'll ask Alphaville. If possible, Elsewhere is a thing. They have a smaller, the room at Elsewhere. There's like there's a big room and a small room, and I don't know I think it's the Zone at Elsewhere. So we might be able to get one of those possibly if the room is available and the bill is good. But it just sucked because I was doing a winter class and I was trying to book the show during that winter class, transition into the new semester. The venue didn't have availability, and I was still trying to get everything together school-wise. So, and WSB, I couldn't do it because of liability issues. So I canceled it because I was like, I just want it to be a good show, and this isn't organized. So we're gonna do it again, but properly this time. So, yeah. So.
Yeah, and some of the shows that I know you've booked, going back to your old Westbury days.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think that's really cool to have that in a college atmosphere. I never booked shows. I just booked bands to interview, because I never wanted to book shows. That's too much of a headache for free, And I have a passion for local music, but that's way too much.
It's
There's
a lot of stress.
liability. You have to have a lot of people that are also need a team to do shit like that. Like it can't just be one dude that's passionate about music, that this is the only guy that cares, that's willing to do this shit for free. You know what I mean? So that's why I never did anything like that. But when you were at Westbury, you got this was November 2014.
November 2014.
You had the Black.
Yeah.
You had Low Fat Getting High.
Yeah.
And who else?
Lip Talk.
Okay.
And Vomit Face.
Vomit Face. Yeah.
So, interestingly enough, though, Low Fat Getting High, we had to change their name for the show because all Westbury officials in the student government thought that Low Fat Getting High was suggestive. So we had to change it to High Strung Eating Tacos.
That's a good name.
So yeah, and then but on stage they're like, "Hey, we're Low Fat Getting High. Who gives a shit? What are you gonna do about it?" Like,
salute.
Honestly,
Salute
what's
them.
the school gonna do? Like the schools, I understand they're like following procedures and just being like safe about it, but
This is not on television.
not on television. It's school. It's in the
Yeah.
McGuire Theater. Awful venue for it, by the way. McGuire Theater was just not the place. But I mean, there's no other place to do it on campus. Maybe there's
another
the theater.
spot. There's another it wasn't McGuire Theater.
It's down the hall, right?
Yeah. I forgot what that
It's like a theater, like a theater.
Yeah. That would have been perfect for
That would have been good. Probably cheaper.
Yeah.
But I mean, we had like a back room, we had a green room and everything. The school provided so much free food and pizza for all of us.
You got to salute old Westbury for that.
I was like, that's awesome. It was cold, but I do not care. And the bands didn't care because it was free. But I mean, it's crazy because in retrospect, I was talking to John from the Black, and he goes, I mean,
Shout out to John, man. He's the man.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah.
But it was just like, he was saying, fuck, dude, it was like literally the biggest stage you've played. And I felt a little bad for it because like 60 people showed up.
That's not bad for old Westbury.
It's not bad for
No.
yeah, but also McGuire Theater, is
it's pretty big.
massive. So like 60 people in that place.
That's roughly the amount of people that went to the Math Awards.
No way.
Roughly.
2 years ago, was the last time I went, and it was like kind of filled.
Yeah, but
Was the last one just terrible?
no, it wasn't. It was awesome. I was there for it. It was cool. I mean, but there was a lot. It was a good amount of people.
A lot of parents
Yeah.
are there too.
Yeah. It
Which
was
just
very.
fills it.
It was very intimate, very low key, and I'm sure
Yeah.
that's how that was. But when you put that show
Yeah.
together, like, did you have like a team? Was it just you?
My friend Z and I.
And that was it.
That was it.
Okay, yeah. I miss Low Fat Getting High.
Yeah.
That's a great
I
fucking
know.
band.
I miss Kayleen is in Mannequin Pussy now. She's touring with them, and
She was in Low Fat?
she was in Low Fat up until like a month before that show, actually. And then she went to Mannequin Pussy. And then obviously now they're in Rolling Stone and they're touring.
I saw them open
England,
for
like-
Charlie Bliss at the Stereo Gum holiday party. Babies.
Oh shit, you went to that.
I went to it.
Was it
Sold
good?
out.
Sold out.
Dude.
Yeah, Charlie Bliss is great too.
Oh,
and
my
Mannequin Pussy just
God.
rip live.
Yeah,
they're just like
fantastic.
wild.
They
Also,
got a good energy.
Babies sounds great too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
They sound so good. I saw a show there last week, a week ago today, actually. Oman Rockness hardest working bands in 2017. It was Thick, Big Bliss, who we're playing a show with on the 24th, actually.
Love them.
Yeah, they sound like Interpol in the best way. Like they sound really, and plus Babies just sounded great. So Thick, Grim Streaker are great if you know them.
Yes.
They're fucking awesome. Like Grim Streaker, Thick, Fruits and Flowers,
Yes.
Big Bliss, and there was another one. Maybe there wasn't. I don't know. There was.
you
one
said
more.
Thick already, right?
I said Thick. Yeah, they
Yeah.
opened it up,
Okay.
and then Grim Streaker played. Oh, Darkwing.
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 Oh, I never heard of them.
I mean, it's members of this other band, Psychiatric Metaphors, and they played this, but they played. The band makes the band, but the stage also makes the band.
Yeah.
The performance, because I had seen them maybe at Pet Rescue or some other place, and they sounded good, but fucking Babies with the sound and the lights just sounded like Ty Segall, but more Doom inspired. So
all right.
So
All
like
right.
I was blown away by their performance just because I was like, oh, how much of this? I mean, it's all them, but the lights, just the sound was great, and the room was packed, and it was just Babies really made it a night. They made it a moment. Obviously, I mean, Babies is a really good venue for. They're just great. I love that they're independent too. I know people might give them shit for being Babies, all right, just like maybe being expensive, but like they need to exist somehow, and that's how they, maybe that's how they keep themselves going. But they're independent. They're totally independent. They got their own thing going on.
The most expensive ticket I've paid for that was that Christmas show, the Stereo Gum release show with
probably like $20.
$20.
$20.
And that's cheap for a concert.
Cheap for a concert ticket.
Yeah.
I think given how many shows I've gone to over the past few years, I don't really want to go see a big show at a big venue anymore.
You know what? Arena
Biggest was Brooklyn
shows.
Steel, but that's it.
Yeah, but that's still intimate.
It's still
kind of
intimate,
the large scale of concerts.
Yeah.
I've been to an arena show. Death from Above.
Yeah.
Incubus, Deftones, The Bots, Jones Beach.
The Bots. Wow.
With The Bots.
It's still going?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what they're up to. I haven't kept up with them. But
Yeah.
they're a good band. They have a lot of promise.
Yeah.
But it was a weird show because it was almost too spacious.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
At Jones Beach.
Yeah. It
Massive,
sounded
yeah.
strange, and it's just the parking. The parking is cool. I think it was free. I didn't pay for anything. But like leaving the show, it was hell.
Bad,
Like 20 minutes to get out. I'm like, yo. I put on The Physical World, the second Death from Above album at that time, and I think I finished most
Before
of the
you
album.
before you left. Before
Yes.
you left. You're like,
I got up to Whitest Red, and I'm like, I'm almost done with this album. I'm
done.
sitting here.
I
I'm trying
just
to get
saw
out.
them. I just saw them. I listened to their album, and I don't know. I mean, it's maybe there are some bands that lend their music and performance to kind of a much bigger arena. For example, LCD Sound System kind of lend themselves to that big open. And I saw them at Brooklyn Steel, but I can imagine at the Garden, for example, when they played there, that must have been a really cool night. But on the other hand, I would not want to see Mannequin Pussy at the Garden. I'd be so happy that they did.
Yeah.
I'd be happy for them, but I wouldn't want to see the show because their music is so claustrophobic.
It's very, like, it connects to people.
It's
one of those
visceral.
things.
It's right
direct.
there. Like,
Yeah.
you need to see them 5 feet away from you, not 100 feet away from you when you're in the, nosebleeds and whatever. So, I mean, it probably sounds great, but, at the same time, it's a difference in, I don't know. I also heard this argument a few days ago for kind of just the uselessness of festivals at this point.
You know what? Like festivals, they have their merits. I mean, I went to Metals in September and I had a great time. It's a whole lot of fun. Well, one, I didn't pay for it because
just
it was
went, yeah,
media. It's just it's a lot of fun depending on who's there. But the thing is with festivals, what we were talking about earlier about people just going to see who they want to see. That's what a festival is. People go to see who they want to see, and that's it.
And they leave.
But me and a couple other people like you, we like a lot of different artists.
Yeah.
So we'll stay at one stage for different artists.
Which is also exhausting, to be honest.
It is, but you know what? I wasn't exhausted.
Yeah.
I
well,
wasn't.
No, because you're just like, it's going.
Oh, look, the Migos. Oh, look, Run the Jewels. Oh, look, Joey Badass. Oh, look, Jay-Z.
Which is like, that's just
it.
How you're going to get that anywhere else? I mean, in one spot. So.
Some people just came just for Jay-Z. Some people just came probably for Run the Jewels or something like that. But me and some other people, like, we like different types of music. So festivals okay, but it's like the experience, yes, it's a little overrated.
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, I've been to better shows at like a small, intimate venue than at a festival. Festivals are fine. They're cool. It's outdoors and it's nice and it's friendly. Yeah, but it's way too much money.
It's so much money. Yeah.
That's why get into media, because you can probably get it for free.
Someone asked me like in a few years, like they'll be like, oh, so why'd you get into doing whatever you're doing? I'm like, oh, so I can go to free shows.
Yeah.
Like imagine that's just probably like what a lot of people say, because it's just like, oh yeah, because I can go to free shows or whatever. So I don't know. I mean, it's definitely an experience, and it's an experience for someone. And that's probably great, but it's not for me.
Right.
So it has its purpose. It's not obsolete, but it's not for me. It's not my thing. So and I know that. So
I want to talk about a lot of the stuff that you've been doing at Stony Brook, and you've been doing a lot. Like you got 2 radio shows. You press play in your other one. What's your other show title? Do you have a title for it?
I was calling it Midnight Boom for a while.
Midnight Boom?
Yeah, it's just the first Kills album is called Midnight Boom.
Okay.
And I start at midnight, so I was like, oh, okay. But I've changed it, like tomorrow's just going to be at night.
At night?
Yeah, just
simple,
at night.
Right to the point?
No one's listening at 12 a.m., so I don't think the show name matters as much, but so
whatever.
Yeah.
The content is all that matters. And you write for the Stony Brook Press.
Yeah.
And we talked about your relatively poor time management skills, admittedly. And it's kind of hard to do that thing because, I've had trouble with time management too. But what I've learned is that I just put at the forefront the thing that I'm, that's a priority to me.
Yeah.
Like, in school, I had 2 radio shows and I was a full-time student. I maybe had one job on the side, but I was like, okay, what's more important? What's more important right now? Okay, school is first.
Yeah.
And then after I do this paper or I study for this test, let me book a band for an interview.
Yeah.
Right? And then
hierarchical.
I make sure I eat.
Yeah.
And then, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and sleep.
Yeah.
That's important too.
I like how that's not at the top though.
Right. That wasn't
school, bands. If I can eat, maybe.
If I have time
to
grab a burger.
Sleep, pushing it. Don't want to spoil myself, but like, yeah,
So
that's exactly how
process?
it is for me though.
Yeah.
What I do is, if it's only in the past few months that I've really just, because before that it was a lot of chaos.
Mm-hmm.
I did the same thing. I was just like, okay, I have the 5 most important things that I have to do. Let me just do them whenever I find time. Maybe I won't sleep. Maybe whatever. I'll wake up early. I'll do it on the train. Whatever it is. Now what I do is I have a notebook, and every single day I write the top 6 things I have to do the next day in order of importance. So the next day I'll wake up. I was like, oh, I have to got to email this person. I'll do that before I do anything else. I won't multitask anymore because that diverts your time, divides it up too much. So I'll do that, and if I can get through, I still have a list from 2 days ago that I haven't totally completed, but they're big things like write a paper or study for this test, something like that, or book that band or the show for the 7th on April. So it's like it's kind of more structured than it used to be, but which helps because if you get like the most important things done that you need to do throughout the day, you have more time to do more things and be more productive with other things. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of like no downtime. I'm sure it's like you don't get that much like downtime, but it's okay.
You need to work that in. Like that's what I've learned. If you don't do that, if you don't work in downtime, you're gonna be stupid.
You're gonna burn out.
Yes, because there were times where I would come back from my internship in Jersey when I used to work for the syndicate. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't come home. I would come straight from my internship, get in my car, and go to a show. And you know what's funny? One day I was coming back from my internship, got off the train, walked to my car, went right up to Stony Brook Sunflower Bean to see that last show you booked. Yeah, I went to that.
Okay,
and I was just like, yo, tired.
Yeah,
I had Red Bull that day.
But
it was fantastic,
yeah,
but I had to get home. I had to rest. I had to my brain needs to recharge.
I remember you being really tired.
I was
like, it was like after the show. I'm like, oh, hey, dude, we're going to this thing. There's the after party, and you're like, yeah, I'd love to, but fuck,
Dude.
I'm so tired right now. I'm like, I understand that because you came from Jersey, right?
Came
Was it
from
Jersey?
Jersey.
So
Yeah.
like you came the furthest to see that band, Sunflower Bean.
Because I love them.
That show, you were the person that came from the longest distance. So it's downtime is really important, and that comes in just like maybe watching a show, maybe going for a walk. Those help because you just don't have to do anything really. You're just like, I'm just gonna go for a walk, whatever. Listen to music, go for a walk, whatever.
And that's how I think about
Drive,
things to do. Like that's how I came up with this podcast.
Yeah.
You know, just downtime, going to a show and just having conversations with people and just having time to think about what am I gonna do.
You
for
need
this,
that
you know
though.
what I mean? Yeah.
Whether it's driving is a really important time where you can figure out like what you're gonna do during the day.
Yeah.
Driving here was not stressful because I gave myself plenty of time. I woke up super early.
Yeah.
I had time to get ready. It's just all in. You do have to sacrifice things like sleep, but that's okay. If you teach yourself and train yourself to sleep on 5 or 6 hours, my average. The average amount of time that I'm sleeping over the past week is 6 hours, but that's kind of okay because fine. I have coffee and I have water, and it's great, and I like what I'm doing, so I'm not tired. But there are times when I get home, I've been up for 15 hours. I'm like, fuck, I have to sleep, but I have to do this work, but I should sleep.
Yeah.
So because if you get home and you're so tired and you try to force yourself to do something like creative, and that could even be a paper that you have to write, because in a way it is creative. You have to force a paper out of yourself. Maybe your research paper is different, but you're gonna do kind of a subpar job if you're exhausted.
Yeah, I've noticed that, and you could probably relate to this analogy too. Like when I'd go to formal events or certain parties and it'd be catered, sometimes I would like put too much on my plate, literally.
Yeah,
I'm like I can't finish all this shit, and I compare that to my real life. You know, I would put a lot of shit on my plate, and it would be like too much, and then. Most of this shit is free. I'm not getting paid for it. But a few of them are passion projects. Yeah. And some things are like things that I felt like I had to do. But now, like to quote Dave East, don't talk unless you got a check for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like now, like I do like this podcast I'm not getting paid for, but it's a passion of mine. I have this passion, but I also have things
that you're doing.
Pay me. Yeah. That's my MO now. Like do things that I have something that's mine, and then make sure I'm doing things that's paying me too. So I can fund my passion.
That's exactly what it is too.
Yeah.
That's my parents always told me that's how it is, but you don't realize that till later. Or maybe some people realize it earlier on, but like fuck, so past 4 years I've done so many things for free. Booking is free. I mean, I'll get like 10% after all the bands, but I want to make sure that the bands get paid, which I know people that are like, oh, you know, I do want to make sure that I'm paid. I'm like, yeah, I understand that, but I also want to make sure that the bands have had a good show so that they want to work with me in the future, because I want to give them a good show and I want to be able to give them a good show. I want them to be happy, but sometimes maybe that can my own self-interest maybe takes a back seat, which you do that long enough and it kind of wears on you. Like you lose some of the passion to doing it because you're like, it's just like you give and give, and you work on all this stuff and you just don't really get much back. So it's really important to balance things that are your passion projects, but also things that are beneficial to like, and they pay you. Like it's a balance, and it's just something that I have too much on my plate now. The deadline for the press article is next week. I don't have an article written. That's only because the interview is scheduled for next week, and I'm not going to get it done in time because that's when the deadline is. But I'm going to write about something else. I'm going to do research tonight. I got to type out my playlist for tonight. I got to type out my talking points for the show next week. Press play. I have some talking points. We're going to talk about Quincy Jones, everything, all that stuff. I have so many things that I'm going to do. And Alex, he texted me last night. He's like, dude, I added 30 hours to his to-do list. He added 30 hours just last night.
You know what? Talking to him, last time I saw him, that he looks stressed.
He's so stressed.
He's got to chill.
He's going away, though. Like, he's going to Arizona in March. He's taking a break.
Good. He's smart.
He needs that. Yeah. He's like, dude, I haven't taken a break in so long. I was like, well, you need it. But he's killing it, though.
Yeah.
Like Sweet Static is really, he's stressed because he's really the only one doing it right now. Like, he's just managing everything. But, he's stressed because it's all him. But I'm like, you know what? If it's all you, when you have help, it's going to be, even when it's stressful, it's not going to be as stressful as now.
But people have to match your passion.
Yeah, and it's hard to find that.
It's very hard to find. Then you got to do it yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which is just how it is. I mean,
and if you can't handle it, don't do it.
Yeah.
But he really loves that.
He likes
loves
doing
sweet
it. Yeah.
static.
He really he's got a pretty decent job now. Like he's working in the city. He's going to school part-time. He's doing Sweet Static. He's stressed, but he's really doing what he wants to do. And I think he's going to take Sweet Static into potentially like make it. I mean, his plan is to just make that his job, and but he's not framing it in a way where I want this to be my job in any kind of. I want it to be my job regardless of anything else. He wants it to be his job, but he also wants it to serve its purpose that it was initially intended to be, where it's like supporting communities.
Yeah,
he wants it to be about it. So,
definitely,
because you don't have so many blogs doing that. You have Give Me Tinnitus, you have Post Trash, you have stuff like that. Like Brooklyn Vegan's okay, but you just need that sort of thing. And so, I mean, he had this show at Alphaville, the 2-year anniversary. Wild.
Yeah,
he sold that show out.
You know what? I don't get a chance to go out to shows like that. I want to, and there's so many shows I want to go to. I'm overwhelmed.
It's so many
goddamn shows happening this year. It's crazy.
I've just accepted that I won't go to a lot.
Yeah,
I want to, but and I should stop clicking interested because I'll meet people that I don't really know so well.
I saw that you thought about going. I'm like, no. I have to explain myself. Like, dude, I'm just doing it to keep tabs on it.
Keep tabs. I've had people come to me like, oh, dude, I saw you on Facebook, just like going to like 7 shows. I'm like, no, I'm interested. I'm
thinking about
all of them.
Yeah,
but if they're all on the same day, maybe I won't go to any.
Because I gotta sleep.
I gotta sleep. But I used to do it where I would go to school, and I would go to a show. I'd come home, sleep 5 hours, go back to school, do the same thing the next day. When I was at Old Westbury, I went to so many shows. Maybe at the disadvantage of my education, which wasn't a good decision, but I did fine. I just didn't get a lot of sleep. I didn't focus on myself and my needs as much because I was like, I mean, everything. You had so many more venues. You had Palisades. You had. Palisades. What else closed? You had Death by Audio. I was like, I can go to so many things.
But now there's too much shit too. Look at Elsewhere just popped up. You got Alphaville.
I haven't even been to Elsewhere yet.
So me neither.
Like but my friend's like, so my friend yesterday I texted her. I said, hey, there's a show tomorrow night. I feel a little bad because I was like, oh, there's a show tomorrow night. She's like, oh yeah, another friend of mine and her are going. She's like, you should come. I was like, no, I really should do work. I'm sorry. Like I have to do work. If I don't prioritize work and things that are productive, I'm not going to have time to do anything
cool later.
Yeah, like I'm not going to it's really a difficult kind of balance, but it's it's like really hard to balance things because I'm doing things like the press. I don't get paid for that, but I like writing. So I do that, and I like interviewing people, and I like talking about music. My article is going to be about like how to support music divorced from streaming, because I don't think streaming.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
For people like us who already love music already, Bandcamp.
Bandcamp is great.
You buy merch at the show.
Uh-huh.
You actually buy the physical album from Bandcamp or something like that
because it helps them. Even if you don't listen to it,
mm-hmm.
like even if you don't listen to it, you have that album. You probably should listen to it, but records are expensive to make and they're expensive to buy, but they're probably hopefully recouping the money and making some so they can make that album again
by touring. They tour their nuts off.
It's
look
just
at Ty Segall. He's touring like crazy.
It's tough. Yeah, that dude is wild.
Look at Place Space Strangers. They're going on another world
tour.
Yeah.
I like for a while I was like, I don't know how this dude's doing it. How is Oliver doing this? Like, how is Dion doing this? I don't know who the drummer is now, but
Leah,
how is Leah doing
fantastic.
this? Like, and she's incredible.
Yeah, I call her the
really,
maniac
really
because she matches their energy on stage.
I know she's wild.
At Aviv, she was like just going.
It was
crazy.
loud.
Yeah.
It was loud. I've never.
She's a sweetheart. Love her.
Yeah, I've never spoken to her, but she seems like she's really, really sweet. So.
Very nice. She's from LA.
Is she?
And she knows a lot of bands out there. Because I'm a big fan of some of the LA bands like Sex Stains, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I played some shows with them or whatever." I'm like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about your involvement with SB Press, particularly an album you wrote, not an album, an article you wrote back in September. Inventing Ourselves, and it kind of talks about the history of booking shows at Stony Brook and WUSB. So, in your opinion, what is the status of campus shows now?
Dead,
completely dead. Didn't you have Post Malone or something happen?
Yeah, but those are it.
That's it.
we have Post Malone. We had the last 3 artists were Post Malone, the guy from the Jonas Brothers, DNCE. Okay, but that was DNCE, Joey Badass, and Alice in Wonderland. Joey Badass I didn't go, but I would have gone to see him. But apparently the show sucked. Mm-hmm. Just like it was outdoors, it was cold. Before that, we had Future and Fetty Wap. Those are the 2 previous shows.
And then that same year that show happened, you had Sunflower Bean.
Yeah, but that organization.
No. It was Leapling. Leapling and who else?
Leapling and Very Fresh.
Okay.
And we had those 2 bands, Leapling, Very Fresh, and 2 others. We were supposed to have Mass Gothic.
Yeah, that would have been sick.
That would, but we had a venue. Our student union is gutted, doesn't exist anymore. It's just the walls.
Okay.
They're turning it into more administration buildings.
So no bands.
So no, we don't have. That was the venue where we could do things, but we knew for a while that it was shutting down. But they didn't supplement it with anything else. There are no student spaces for cool shit, and there's black boxes, for theater, but and we could do that. But at the same time, like you mentioned earlier, it can't just be someone like myself doing it. You need a team, and I've had a really hard time pulling that together or trying to make that happen, because I've tried to do shows on my own that maybe have the breadth of like a big show with a big team behind it, but it's just I can't do that with school.
Yeah.
So like I've kind of, I don't want to say given up, but I'm not doing shows or trying to. I'm not even hoping that there will be shows on campus, because they can't happen. There's no place for them to happen. There's also no community for it to happen.
And it's a community.
It's just
school. It's just not a lot of people that really care about doing something like that. Like I look at other college stations like Radio K, and oh my God, like all the shit that they support their local music. I look at their website; it's so intuitive. They have so much content, and they probably, I'm not sure what the inner workings of their station is, but there's no way there's like one person doing that. There's a whole bunch of people that really care about that shit, and that's why they sound good, and that's why they have a lot of shows going on, and a lot of bigger bands go to that show. Priest were
because
there.
They care.
Yeah. I love seeing that, and it's sad that there's not a lot of things like that around here, but at least there, outside of the college community, there's a space for a lot of local bands to be put on. And do you think that, like we're talking about, you think it's like a change in student culture? Do you think people aren't interested in local music out there?
I think it's a student culture thing. It's also a commuter school, so people go and they go home.
Like a lot of Long Island schools, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I go home every day now. I don't live off campus anymore. I live back in Huntington, so I go home. Although if it was there, I'm the type of person, I'm crazy, I would stick around until 12, get up for an 8 a.m. class and go. But because I want to see that stuff happen, I would stay, but most people won't stay. Most people won't stay on campus if they don't have anything to do there. That's not class. So I think it's a student culture thing. I think, and I don't know specifically if this is accurate or at all, but it feels like it's a cultural thing that's maybe kind of a... People don't want to go see a show if they don't know who's playing.
Right, and that sense of discovery is really important in a college community. You know what I mean?
It's not really encouraged.
Yeah.
People... Stony Brook is maybe a different case where people go there for science and biology and real things. But, like, it's really hard to get someone. Like, the Boner was great. That was incredible. But that was off campus.
But a lot of people that were working there were Stony Brook students.
But we all knew each other.
Yeah.
Radio people, radio kids. Like
the USB crowd,
Yeah, like, and then, like, you guys came, and, like, it was just...
Because again, we
cool.
care about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it was like,
this.
And Beechcraft played, and you had to interview him. Like, was it that day or like a few
day?
hours before? You're just like, oh, hey, dude, I saw you again. So it's cool, and I think that pockets of those type of communities kind of will always exist, but it's not going to be like in the 80s. You had people that were going to shows on the regular that were just because let's go to a show. Even in the early 2010s, like this decade, people were going to shows at Stony Brook because we like the people who were booking it.
A lot of people were into Sunflower Bean when I was there. I saw a lot of people buy the CD, you know, and people were interested. People loved that. And then I went to talk to.
Now they blew up.
Yeah. And look, they were already popping then already. You know, with they were signed to Fat Possum already.
Yeah, they signed to Mom and Pop.
Now Mom and Pop are the new. Record.
So and I liked Crisis Fest. It's stuck in my head, but it's it's a student culture thing.
And that was not even 2 years ago. That was probably
that was like,
a little over 2 years ago.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago. That was 2 years ago, like next month or like in a few months in April. So it's a student culture thing. Also, the fact that our hub for a lot of student life was the student union. The press was there. That old press room was sick. The version I saw, because the version I saw was their second version, which was in a classroom near WUSB, which they had been taken out of the basement because there was no heating. So they were only there for maybe a year, a few months. But even that was cool. Like, that building was so kind of divorced from the rest of the campus, where it had its own food, its own bathrooms, and its own like clubs. So it was its own thing, and you can go there, you can hang out all night, no one cared. It was like the campus had forgotten about that part of campus. So it was cool. You could do kind of whatever you want. You can graffiti the walls at WUSB. There was just posters everywhere. But it was worn in. It was 40 years old. That building was at that 50 years old. So it had seen a lot of things. It had been beaten up, and it had actually had a lot of life lived in it. When that's taken away, it's really hard to build it up. Kind of the wind is just taken out of anything that was happening. So,
and you're about to graduate.
I'm about to graduate. Everyone I know that was doing it graduated.
So now it's just like
like
it's up to y'all now.
It's honestly, yeah. I mean, it's up to everyone that's there. But Chris and Alosha, who are the PD and MD at WSB, are really great for doing what they're doing. They're really trying to get some stuff going. But at this point, I've kind of given up in trying to get it going, because it's like, you know what? I can just do what I want to do in Brooklyn. I'm almost gone. I want to focus on getting out. I'm just kind of at that point now. 2 years ago, I was like, yeah, let's do this. And it existed to a degree, but then everyone graduated, and it's like, maybe this is over. Yeah. So, and that's kind of how, I mean, it ebbs and flows, but right now it's definitely in a dip. So
the last one I remember was Best Behavior.
That was the last show we did.
Yeah. Halloween.
Which
that was good.
Which,
it was a great show, actually. It was phenomenal.
The administration didn't like that we were doing these shows, because I was working for GSO, which is the Graduate Student Organization, and those were who historically had done these shows, who funded these shows. But when I came in, they had just kind of gotten recently a new president and administration. It's only 4 people, but they had gotten kind of new administrative people, and they questioned the legitimacy or the need for these shows, because they're like, why are we funding this? And I was like, oh, because it's a thing. They said, oh, but it's for undergrads. Like, no, grads don't care about seeing like a garage. Like, I don't care about this. I'm like, trust me. So I really fought hard to have some shows. I fought hard to get Speedy Ortiz.
What do you think student life means? You know, what do they think that means?
I don't know. I mean, they're like, oh, graduate students aren't going to want to go see a band. I'm like, there's 10,000 graduate students. You can't pigeonhole them into one thing. I know graduate students, and they're all graduate students, but I'm like, you're graduate students who work for the Graduate Student Organization. You're running it. You're different. You're involved in administration. You have different preferences than maybe a grad student who's studying ethnomusicology. They would absolutely go to like a show. They would, because they're a music, they're studying music, but it's just, they didn't have faith in it. And even the Best Behavior show, they weren't so happy with how it turned out, but it was packed. So I don't understand that. At a certain point, I had to, say, I'm not, this is over. Like, it's not happening anymore. So, it's also really hard to get things out on campus, like the word. It's really hard to get that out, people to come to things. For the Boner show, my friend Mike and I, who did the show, we printed out tiny flyers, really, really tiny flyers, and the day of, just strewed them across campus, just let them go. Didn't matter. We're gonna do that same thing for the 10th. We're just gonna print out flyers, day of show, day before show, like put them everywhere. Just they're gonna get taken down. It's not gonna be at
the Stony Brook show.
No,
it's not gonna be on Stony Brook. It's gonna be in Brooklyn, somewhere in Brooklyn. You don't know what space yet.
Well, that's April, but like on 310, which is Velvet Lounge, we're just gonna do that. We're just gonna put flyers everywhere on campus.
Okay. And Issaquah is right. It's next door.
It's a mile. The venue is less than a mile away.
Okay.
It's, you come off of campus and it's down the road, so it's right there. So, Peter was worried. He was like, oh, they're going to take it down. They're going to trace the flyers back to us. I'm like, who gives a shit if they trace the flyers back to us? What are they going to do? Oh, you put flyers in unauthorized places. Okay. It's paper. Take it down. Whatever. We made our point. I don't think they can penalize me specifically for it too much because it's just paper, and I can always say that I didn't do it. Of course, now they can see that I didn't. I just told them that I was, but I have evidence against me. But it's not going to matter. I mean, it's just about doing that like kind of guerrilla advertising, just getting the word out there regardless of whatever it takes. So hopefully it works. But I think generally student life on campus is preoccupied with other things rather than shows. So because people aren't going to take that risk.
You tried, but now you're going to move on. You're going to graduate soon. So
Westbury was hard to get people to. We passed out hundreds of flyers. Yeah. We passed out hundreds of flyers that entire week.
There was so much, we should do this, we should do that, we should do this. I'm like, you're not going to really do this.
Yeah.
You have this fantasy of what can be, but you're not actually going to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The school thinks it's Westbury?
Yeah, at Westbury. Yeah. There were some things that happened, but
yeah. But they're few and far between.
Few and far between, yes. Yeah. But the thing is, with the old Westbury culture, there wasn't a lot of people that people were very apathetic. And it's a commuter school. There's apathy, and it's a commuter school. Like people
it's like
go to work, go to school, and go to work and go home. That's it.
It's the thickest apathy I've seen. Like, it was almost visible. You could see it in the air.
Yeah.
There's like one event a year at old Westbury that like brings people out, and it's like Club Bash, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, it's Club Bash, and there was a thing that happened.
It's free food.
Yeah, like they had a graduation
yeah.
party thing. That was really cool. I went
too. People go to that.
Cool. Yeah, people do go to that.
Like there's people outside when you walk up before on the red carpet, like the red carpet. There's people there on the carpet, and it's just there's that. So that looks interesting. But generally, it's a dead campus in a way.
Yeah, because people are there just to let me just go to class. Let me go
to class and go home.
There's so many people that flow from the new academic building into the class, and then so many people flood the parking lots.
Yeah.
Like after a while, the parking lots are like empty. Like after like 2-3 o'clock after common hour, empty. But 9-10 o'clock, it's crowded because they want to just go to class and go home, go to work. They have kids. Me too. I understand
that it's a commuter school. And you had actually made a really good point on the Astronauta podcast that really stuck with me about Long Island in general. You said, maybe you had thought for a while, why isn't something happening on Long Island? Why isn't it? Well, it's a place to raise a family.
You live
here.
Valley Stream was listed as one of the best places to live.
Yeah.
In America.
Yeah.
It's a great place to live.
Yeah.
It's not a great because
see a show though. It's not the
same
standard.
Get on the Long Island Railroad. Get to the city. Get to Queens. Get to Brooklyn.
Away.
Oh my God.
So like you just go right there and you're done. You're good. So you get the best of both worlds in that way. Mm-hmm. So the whole thing of like I was upset for a while. Like nothing's happening at Stony Brook. Like it could be so good because I was like.
It's Stony Brook. It's in the middle of nowhere.
It's in the middle of nowhere. You got towny bars all over the place. It's whatever. Yeah, I was like, but we had the Doors, we had Janis Joplin, Miles Davis, Chili Peppers, Tribe Called Quest, Bob Dylan, and that's just a few. We had Black Sabbath. No, we didn't have Sabbath. We had Pink Floyd twice. Allman Brothers were like a house band.
Recently, you had Parquet Courts.
They used to play there all the time.
Beach Fossils.
But Beach Fossils, yeah, that was right before I came in. But
Aesop Rock, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and it's just like we had Childish Gambino and Diplo, 2013.
Wow,
which is that's a crazy show. And then we had Bruno Mars and Janelle Monáe.
Whoa!
So that was like 2012 or maybe 11 or something like that. Before that, we had Aziz Ansari, we had John Oliver, we had Dave Chappelle years ago, we had Kanye West in 2004. And so I looked at all this when I was doing my article for the press, and I was upset because I was like, "Fuck." There's no way we just can't do something like this anymore.
It's a change in student culture.
It's changed student culture.
That's
it's
really
partly digital. I think people don't care as much because they're just like, maybe it's a digital thing. Maybe people look at their phone.
We don't know what the class of 2020's got planned.
Maybe people are too absorbed in like living online, the computer, whatever. Maybe that's not so accurate, but they're like, hopefully something happens, but I don't think it will unless there's coordination from the government on campus and student culture wants to see it. But there's also got to be unification there. Students have to organize and do this themselves.
They got to be common-minded. Like-minded. That's a
they have to. They've got to be on the same page. I have a big issue with the student government. The guy who works, he's maybe the vice president or the president. And him and a few other people work in the administration, but they're our age, and they're the guys that book these shows. And he's such a fuck. I don't even care if he listens to this. He won't, but like, he's such an. I hope he does actually. But he books based on what is gonna kind of be more beneficial to him. He booked DNCE, Joey Badass, and Alice in Wonderland because it was a big party for him. He didn't give a shit who. He would just go to the booker guy that works third party for the school and say, all right, who's the biggest people we can get? Give me a list, and we'll just choose it. He doesn't give a shit. He just cares about what's going to make him look really, really good. Post Malone's going to make him look really, really good. He can use it as the after party is probably going to be huge for him. Like, he does not give a shit about music. I had brought to him this 50th anniversary of Stony Brook concerts, which was last year. I said, why don't we do this thing where we get a festival? Don't do the spring concert. Let's do a big festival down the academic mall. We can get a stage, have a few local, maybe not local bands, but you can get some artists that are like kind of up and coming to do this thing. Well, maybe there was a possibility we could have gotten Blue Oyster Cult to play because it was a 50th anniversary of their band too. So we were maybe thinking of doing that, and we were considering it. And for a while, it might have happened, but he was like, yeah, dude, I think we can do this. He was like all about it for a while, and they didn't give a shit because I was like, oh yeah, I also do WUSB. He goes, what the fuck is WUSB? I said, it's a radio station on campus. He goes, I don't give a shit about them. I'm like, I'm coming to you as WUSB here. I'm as much a part of that as I am with GSO at the time. And I was like, he doesn't care. He's apathetic. He just in for himself. And he's the guy that books or makes the confirming vote on Post Malone, on Fetty Wap, on DNCE, Joey Badass. So you have people in administration who also don't care. Because it's safe.
And look, you're graduating, so it's like, you know what?
At this point, I'm just like, fuck you guys. Like, we almost had Wiz Khalifa this past year. He didn't pass the background check. How the fuck did Post Malone pass the background check?
Whatever.
Like,
that's crazy.
It's just the school is so obsessed with that stuff because an incident happened in the early 90s where someone got stabbed at a show. But that was like not the performer's fault.
You wrote about that in the article.
Yeah, so like someone got stabbed. It was a big, I think someone gave birth. Wild show would have been something to see, but no one died. And it was just like,
it's crazy.
The school really, they're walking on eggshells. They think they're not going to book someone that's really like controversial. So they're going to book Post Malone because he's safe. I wouldn't be surprised they can't get Bruno Mars, but they can get some pop artist or whatever. They'll get like a pop person. So we were talking, we tend to get people when they're kind of over the hill in a way. In the past, we've gotten some people that were like over their prime. So my coworker at USGAV was just like, what are the chances we're going to get like the Killers? Because they're like past their prime. So like, and the Killers would draw people at Stony Brook.
They still sell out. I think I drove past like a surprise secret show they were doing at Brooklyn Steel not too long ago, and there was a line around the block. But it looked like it was a lot of media people that were there. So yeah.
Which is like, that's funny. Like a lot of those secret shows will be mostly media, which is a really funny thing. Like they'll do a secret show, hey guys, and it's just like websites, or radio stations or TVs. But a friend of mine went to a show. He's works for the press. He over the summer saw Tyler the Creator and some other
Vince Staples
secret show.
The secret show?
Yeah, it might have been Vince Staples.
Okay, where was this? New York?
Yeah, like 30 people were at the show. So he says he walks out. He is in the venue.
Okay,
and there's like 30 people there, and like Tyler the Creator is just like playing right there, and it's right as Flower Boy came out. So he was like,
wow.
He's like, yeah, he was like blown away. He's like,
was that Terminal 5?
No, it was like a really, really small club.
Okay.
Across from like a big office building. I know where it is, but I don't know. But yeah, he said it was a really, really tiny, intimate place, and it was really cool to see him. Tyler the Creator in a room like this big. So
wow,
like that was cool.
So what are your favorite? I mean, what are some albums that you're looking forward to in 2018?
Well, Unknown Mortal Orchestra is coming out with an album called Sex and Food out April 6th. So I only recently started listening to them, so I'm excited for that. Courtney Barnett.
She's going to drop something, like officially? Or just like, she may do it?
She may. I mean, it's probably time for her to do it, so I think she would. I want to hear it, because I liked a whole lot of... Was it a lot of Sea Lice?
Yeah.
I liked it, but it was... I like her vibe too. But I think after a while, the songs kind of came like they were the same kind of songs. Like
that was like just a homegirl.
It was
thing.
just they were
friends
just like,
coming
hey, let's
together.
make an album together.
Yeah.
And I really loved how some of the call and response things on like Continental Breakfast were. I'm just like, oh, it's really cute. So
Yeah,
it was such a cool thing. But
that was a good take on the Courtney song.
it was
Yeah.
really, really cool. Yeah, and the music video was like their voices were switched.
Yeah.
Like Kurt's voice
No.
would be.
No,
Was that
Continental Breakfast was like an original.
Was
I
it?
think. And I think Kurt sung what was that song? The first track off of her split EP.
Yeah, it was not the
Something in the woodwork.
Out of the woodwork.
Out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was great.
That
Because I
was
was
great.
listening to it. I'm like, I know this song. I was like, I know why I know this song. It's because it's her song.
Yeah. They covered each other's songs. That was nice.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like they're just really good friends, and I can kind of see that and hear that in the dynamic of it.
I'm looking forward to that new A Place Very Strangers album.
I do want to hear that.
Oh my God. I'm very excited about that.
I am looking forward to Slaughter Us too.
Oh, they're dropping a new shit?
I think
Officially?
they're recording now.
Oh, okay.
So like maybe by fall. I was thinking about this. Like if they get it done in the next few weeks or a few months, whatever, they can maybe get it mastered and done by fall. But that's totally speculation. I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah. I'm liking the new Jack White singles.
I haven't listened to them.
Oh,
Are they good?
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, some people didn't feel them, but I love them.
He's back. Like he went away for a while, but
Yeah,
you know,
it's been a couple of years.
it has been a couple of years, I guess.
He
Yeah.
put out an album, Lazaretto. That was 2014.
Then he's like, I'm done.
Then he dropped. No, then he did the Dead Weather,
Oh, yeah,
2015.
yeah.
And then he did his solo acoustic, thing. A lot of like older songs that he just never released.
Put him out.
And then he was like, "Yeah, I'm retiring from my shows, just doing acoustic stuff." And then, here's new music, and we're going on tour
but
again.
I don't know if he's gonna like. I don't know if I feel like artists shouldn't say unless they're serious about quitting that they're quitting.
Yeah.
Jack White specifically, LCD Sound System did the same thing. They're just like, especially them. They're just like, oh, going out on top, going out in the garden. Okay, great, cool, whatever.
They did that already, and now they're doing it again.
Again, yeah. It's just like,
Did it finish already? That big tour?
yeah, it's done.
It's done? Okay.
I was like, okay. I didn't know them before that show. I only knew them after they broke up. So I was like, great to see them. But it's like, really, like, I don't know, do it and say, but it's hard to quit.
Yeah.
Especially Jack White. Like, it would be hard for him to quit. I don't think he's ever going to do White Stripes again. I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Maybe a one-off show.
Maybe. But, like, I don't think Meg White cares anymore. I don't think she wants to do it from all accounts.
She's enjoying her private life.
She's just enjoying her. And she was always a very private person before that.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like Outkast. Andre is very private to himself,
You know who's also very private, I think, is Kendrick. Is he
yeah,
private?
he is. He doesn't do much press. I mean, he did an interview with Big Boy, but, they have a good
But
relationship.
he's just, like, reserved.
Yeah.
Lives in the same house he did before all of his, like, fame and stuff. So, like, he's really... I don't want to say humble because I don't want to make the reference, but he's really humble. He's just like, I'm just doing what I'm doing.
He did an interview with Torre on his new podcast. Fantastic interview.
It's good.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I'm looking forward to Sunflower Bean and Screaming Females.
Yeah,
They got,
actually. Yeah. Okay.
Very excited about
Sunflower Bean, I do want to hear. I liked the Crisis Fest. I liked that song.
It was
cool.
I Was a Fool was good too.
I didn't
That was the
hear
first single.
I didn't hear that one.
Yeah.
I thought Crisis Fest was like the first one in a
No,
while.
it was the second one.
I gotta listen. King Tough.
Oh yeah, I heard about the new
did you
single.
hear the
Was
new?
it good?
It's really good.
Yeah.
But it's like, so I'm new to King Tough, and I mean new as in like new, past few weeks new.
I've heard about him in the last maybe 2015. That's when I first heard about him.
That's when I heard about him. I've known about him for a while, but I never listened to him. So, but the new song is not like, I mean, you've heard his older stuff. I assume like it's very garage,
Very garagey.
very 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 sun drenched, like hot desert rock garage.
Oh yeah.
So, but the new song is very very 70s, shuffle. It's a shuffle. It's like really cool though.
Yeah.
It's got a really nice chorus, like a very open, breezy midsection there. It's really really cool. I like his stuff. I was gonna say Ty Segall, but
He's out already.
I don't know what that dude. He could release tomorrow.
Yeah.
He just
Superorganism.
Yeah. Okay.
They got an
that's
album
good.
coming in March.
I want to hear that really.
Oh man, so cool.
Because they're like really 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 solid. I want to interview them. I want to know more about them because they're just scattered around the world.
Yeah.
Not much anymore, but I think they live in the same house. But
They recorded in what big house, and so many different things are happening at the same time.
they sampled themselves on their latest song, which I think is hilarious. Like,
Everybody Wants to Be Famous.
they sampled
Gorgeous
their
song.
guitar. It's such a good song, and the music video is so good too. There's a band that I don't know if they're releasing something in 2018, but they should. They were one of the best albums of 2017, which is Blood Cultures. Have you ever heard of them?
No.
I gotta send you their stuff. They're like absolutely perfect synth pop. I mean, smooth melodies are perfect, production's incredible. But they're from Jersey. No one really knows them. I guess people know them, but like they just play with bags over their heads, and they're maybe from upstate.
Blood Cultures.
Okay. I'll send you their stuff. It's so summery. I know I've said summery about like Always. Always sounds summery, and they're great. Yeah. Always are great. But this sounds like electronic Always in that it's just maybe the melodies are just infectious. Like I'm gonna play a lot of their stuff on my show tomorrow, and just I've never had. I had a moment where I was listening to them yesterday, like their whole album. I was like, oh, this is a hit. I was like, damn, they're just like cranking these out. But also, she's probably not going to. But Angela Olsen.
Oh, she's putting out some new stuff?
I don't think so, but I want her to.
She had that B-side collection.
Is good. Is it Specials?
Specials, yeah. I think that's what it was called. A lot of B-sides and shit. I have to hear. I heard some songs and they were beautiful. Yeah.
I have such an appreciation for what she does.
Me too.
Because her range, I went back and listened to her first album, which I don't know what it's called. Long Way Home.
Burn Fire for Your Witness.
Burn Your Fire for No Witness.
Yeah, there you go.
But that's an incredible album too. Like that's the first one I heard. And then I was like, oh, this is great. It's really lo-fi, singer-songwriter. This is really good shit. And then going up to My Woman, I was like, hopefully she maintains, hopefully it's as good, but it was better. My Woman was just incredible. I thought that album was like just 10 steps above Burn Your Fire.
I heard Shut Up Kiss Me at an Applebee's in Westbury. Really? Yeah.
I like that. That's good for her. I mean, I like that's because it's really good music, and if that's being played in places where more people are going to hear it, I think that's great. I
hear a lot of cool like indie music in like restaurants. Like I don't hear, like not on like I hear it on the radio like on FUV and stuff like that, but like I hear a lot more of that stuff in malls and like you know what I mean? In restaurants. And
I hear it
like
in bars. There's a bar near me called Vauxhall.
Oh yeah, bars too, venues and stuff.
When
the band is setting up, they'll play
they'll play some cool stuff, and it's like it's really cool. But I want her to release something but at the same time, I don't want. I mean, okay, so My Woman was this incredible album. I just don't want everyone has this expectation of her.
I think people are just ready. Like they loved My Woman so much that they're just like ready for anything at this point. And Miss Eves is about to drop a new EP, and she's fantastic. Yeah, she's a rapper. She's based here in Brooklyn, but she's from like North Carolina.
Oh, that's cool.
Awesome. Very like feminine, feminist charged music, and just very sex positive stuff. Love it.
Princess Nokia?
Yes.
Yeah, that's just
she's fantastic.
She's incredibly and she blew up within the past year. Like absolutely.
Saw a billboard for her on over the Williamsburg Bridge. Yeah, that's how I discovered her.
Really?
I'm like, who is that? And
There's a billboard of her?
Not anymore. If you go over the Williamsburg Bridge from Brooklyn to Manhattan, there was a big billboard for her new album for 1992 Deluxe. Yeah. Wow. All summer.
Well, I mean, one of the best songs on there is ABC's of New York.
Oh, man.
That's so good.
You hear like the subway in the background?
Yeah, it's so
clear of the closing doors.
And did you see that she tossed a hot cup of soup on, and like no one knew for a while that it was her, but the fact that it was her, it was just like, like it was so good. It was just like, tossing like hot soup in this dude's face for a reason, not just because, but she's great.
Jean Grey.
Who is it?
You know Jean Grey?
I don't.
Oh man, she's like a legendary like underground rapper. She's been underground like forever. She stayed underground. She's putting out a new mini album EP thing with Quelly Chris. Yo, they have a new single called Osh, and like the samples are like different people saying "oh shit," but they're not saying "oh shit." They're saying "osh," and then it's incredible.
Osh, and then
I gotta sing you the song.
Osh. Yeah, it's like.
It's very beautifully produced.
It's like on the edge of like, it's, so you play it on the air, you'd be a little edgy about like,
but they curse, but like the chorus is like sampled. Just like, it's beautiful.
You know who? So what? Kendrick just released an album.
Well, the Black
today,
soundtrack,
but it was like because I got a notification that he released it, and I was like, I don't know if he did. I think he just maybe
like curated
has some stuff. Yeah, he has some stuff on it. Like, what else? I do want to hear New Run the Jewels. I feel like they would just do it. Because of them. They just did something on last year, Christmas Day. They're just like, here's an album. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So them.
That new No Joy And Sonic
No
Boom
Joy.
EP?
Yeah, that was wild. I was listening to that. I was like, no way. That's
It's hypnotic.
Bodega.
They're putting out a new album finally?
They're putting out.
Okay.
Yeah, they're putting something out. Hopefully by the summer. He said it'll be out by the summer. Ben, who's the guy in the band, said that it would be out by the summer. And have you seen him live?
Who? Bodega? No.
Oh, dude, you have to see. They're like, so they're. I don't even want to compare them to other bands because I don't want to pigeonhole them into something. But they sound like a mix between like they're danceable, but they're also very like Velvet Underground inspired. But there's so much more than that. Like they use loops, and I don't even know. None of their music is online. They don't have any music online because they're relatively new. But because before that they were a Bodega Bay, and then that band kind of went to two directions. And one was Bodega, the other is Toyzan. But yeah, it's just they're so good, and I don't even care if I have to wait longer. I want to hear it, and yeah. So.
And you're playing the Velvet Lounge March 10th, Pet Rescue March 24th. So where can people find Headless Elvis?
Bandcamp, Spotify. We're on Tidal now.
On Tidal, yeah, I saw.
Which is just like
Bade.
Yeah. I don't even have Tidal, so I can't verify that information. But
it is.
It is on Tidal? Okay, cool. I don't think we're on iTunes, but most importantly, we're on Bandcamp. SoundCloud, probably. No, we are. I don't know if it's public, but it's there.
Social media.
We're on Facebook at Headless Elvis.
Yeah.
We don't use Twitter as much, but we are on Instagram as at Headless Elvis.
Okay.
We got that stuff. And Pet Rescue Show is at 346 Morgan Avenue in Brooklyn. And on the 10th, it's at the Velvet Lounge, which is in Setauket. But the lineup for that actually is us, this band Lums from Brooklyn, who Greg from the Mad Doctors is also in that band, so he plays drums, and that's going to be cool. Blue Black, which are instrumental, like loud as fuck band. They're really cool, and they're like really cool people. The fourth band is this band Golden Wave. They're from Babylon, and I don't know if there's going to be a fifth. I don't think so. It's unlikely, but I did reach out yesterday, 2 days ago, to MJT, and they were checking. So,
oh man, that would be sick. They're phenomenal live.
So if like I reached out to them at the same time that Greg reached out to the fourth band to get a fourth band, and I
saw them yes. at Knitting Factory. There were people chanting their name.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
They're seriously like wild live.
One of the best bands.
They're so good. I think I might have seen them a while back, but I just remember them. Yeah, it was them. They were really, they were tight. But if they say yes to this show, I don't know if it's likely. I don't know how a 5-band bill would go at the Velvet Lounge or in general, but I'd probably have to say absolutely, just go on, play as long as you want. It doesn't matter. Like, you want some curry? There's curry in the next room. Like,
okay.
Because every Tuesday night they have free curry there. But this is a Saturday, so. But yeah, it's going to be a cool show, and I hope MJT maybe says yes, because that would be such a sick. We're going to get a fog machine and everything. It's going to be cool.
It's going to be crazy. All right, thank you, Connor, for coming on the podcast. You're always welcome, because I feel like I haven't seen you in a long time. Last time I saw you was at the last Headless Elvis show at the Gateway. Yeah, that was a good show.
Fuck, was that it?
Yeah.
That was the last time?
I think so. Yeah.
That was in like June or July.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
Summer. Yeah, it was crazy.
Gateway's a... Interesting.
Yeah, we don't have to go into that. Yeah. Thank you, guys. I'm Peter A. This has been level 2 of My Little Underground. Please make sure you follow me on Twitter, Instagram at Peter A Radio, and I'm on Facebook too. And check out my website, peteraradio.us, and subscribe on iTunes, y'all. I'll see ya.